Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech Sales and Marketing Edition. Good morning, Mr. Roberts.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, tired, feeling a little up and down, but in good spirits. So that's the most important.
Yeah, I'm with you on the tired thing.
We're, what's that?
I'm with you on the tired thing, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain what time zone I'm in at the moment, but I'm getting there.
Well, you've been traveling all over the world. How was your trip to the Middle East last week?
It was good. It was nice. I mean, it's like anything that the whole region, for the most part, is pretty amazing. It's just different culture, different area, different focus, and the people are always fantastic. So that's always nice. And I mean, I love it because it's outside. I mean, gorgeous food. Let's face it, and fun food, and just some fantastic conversations. I got to prance around on stage a few times, which is always good fun. I saw. I'd seen normal camels. I got to see black camels. I've never seen black
Oh,
camels. I didn't know those stupid things existed. So, I mean, I've seen grey ones and brown ones and red ones, all sorts. I'd never seen others. I literally. I got involved in a crash under police escort as well. That was a fun experience. Yeah,
are
so
you okay? Is everybody
oh
okay
yeah,
and safe?
yeah, everybody was all right. A little
The
bit squished up and
question.
all that kind of good silliness. The traffic over there is very reminiscent, shall we say, of other areas of not just the Middle East, but like Italy and everywhere else. It's dynamic traffic, shall we say. Definitely, the horn is utilized to express one's desire to be recognized and an
Mm.
understanding that one is still here and would still like to be here.
Mm.
um, it's also used as a form of communication of I'm going to make another lane, hold on tight. um, or I'm going to go off-roading at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour because you're not going fast enough or getting out of my way, and I'm just going to let you know this, et cetera, et cetera. It was, it was fun. Um, the I think what was nice. I mean, apart from the fact I got to get over there and hang out and see all the crew that put on the conference, which honestly is the most fun. Um, but I think the other thing that was actually fantastic was being able to see Mum on the way back. So the team that flew me over there flew me back into the UK, and I got an extra day in the UK, which was really nice to go hang out with one's mother. So
Yes,
that was freaking awesome. I got to take one's mother out for a drive around the countryside, and we went down to Marlborough
oh,
and to Tewkesbury and Tewkesbury somewhere. So
that's
yeah, it was
awesome.
nice. It was really nice just to hang out with her and have fish and chips and stuff. So that was good.
That's awesome. Well, I love hearing it. I love the stories, and I love having you back on the show. So welcome back to our side of the world.
Yeah, no,
Always
it's not. It is good to be back on this side of the world, definitely.
just speaking of, you mentioned food, and I love food. Okay, I'm a foodie. I just spoke. I just spoke with Tal this morning, we had a big conversation about how much we love food in the Middle East. The
Mm,
vegetables and the fruits are just real. We're still struggling with accepting that we're eating
yeah,
processed
yeah. It's a
vegetables. I don't
little.
even
It's a
know
little.
engineered vegetables these
I
days.
was gonna
So
say, yeah, engineer. You can. I mean, if you can find, but it costs. I mean, the organic stuff. At least over
yeah,
here, Whole Foods and all that kind of stuff thankfully exists. So I'm actually going to wipe the bloody Whole Food and everything does what it needs to do. So that's good. And a few of the other places, Sprouts and some like the local farmers markets, can be good
hmm
if you choose wisely. Um, but yeah, it's so. I mean, I went shopping as I normally do, which is both good and disastrous. I deliberately took an extra bag with me, and I almost managed to fit everything into the extra bag, but not quite. I had to have an extra bag and an extra bag. So yeah, it's me.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. For those of you who are new and also veteran on the show, this is how we do it. We run through a WTF moment. We go through crappy message we get of the week, break it down, build it back up, and then we shift into a topic that piques our interest. Today, we're going to cover collaboration and security culture, which has been emerging in a lot of different conversations I've been having with security practitioners and in general learning about online. So we're going to dig into Chris's brain about that. But before that, let's do actually no, not before the WTFs. Uh, one more call to action for you all. If you have questions or comments and want to come on the show, please by all means do that. Drop them in the comments. Let us know that you want to come on, ask for feedback or ask a question or just talk to us and we'll bring you on the show happily.
We
All
also
right.
need to mention we're missing Maria. She is under the weather and unfortunately under the weather with a couple of extra rugrats. Not just hers, but she's helping out a family member looking after their rugrats. And so everybody apparently is under the weather. So
Correct. Yes.
if any of you are connected to Maria, shoot her a note, send her a goodwill and a hugs, and potentially a gallon of chicken soup.
Yes. Maria, we got your back, so
Yep.
be on the lookout later today, FYI. We miss Maria, and we gotta get this together. We always keep missing each other every other week, but it's good. We are a team, and we got each other's back, so that's what's
Yeah.
most important. All right, WTF moments, Chris. You got anything?
Yeah, I had an interesting one on LinkedIn. I should bring it up, but the problem is LinkedIn on this system doesn't work. And if I do LinkedIn on this, do you just lose video? Do you still get me? You
Yeah,
lose
just lose.
video.
I lose video, but I hear you. So
All right, well then I'm going to bring it up because it's one of those moments because
dark.
it was definitely one of those. It's one of those you just take a deep breath and you go, I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to scream. Where are we? There we are. Yes, there we go. So an individual, bless his cotton socks. Hey, Chris, it's not every day you find someone who's not only a strategist, researcher, advisor, but also a seasoned hacker and a podcast co-host with such a compelling approach to InfoSec. So to his credit, he took my profile, ran it through, probably an AI generator and came up with that. So it's kind of cool. He then leaps into the, given your extensive involvement, I believe our solution could align perfectly with your endeavors. So, you go straight into this, hey, I'm going to sell you something. One sentence to butter me up. Sentence number 2 to sell me something. Sentence number 3 to tell me why it needs to be a game changer for somebody. Sentence number 4 is telling me exactly how wonderful it is without actually asking me what the hell I actually really do. And then would like to grab a moment for a quick chat. P.S. And here's where it's like WTF, literally. P.S. WTF did I just read? Caught my attention. So I responded back and said, apparently it caught your attention, but did you actually watch and listen to it? And saying, definitely, Chris, your episodes on cold outreach to CISOs were insightful. Curious, what did you think of my approach? Well, guess what, Cyan? We're discussing it live.
Well, I mean, gotta give him credit because he wants to know. So that's
okay, yeah, but if you'd have watched the bloody episodes, it wouldn't have been one sentence of "buddy your ass up" and the next 4 sentences of "hold still."
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Again, how many bloody times have we said on this show, do not come at me, do not approach me to sell stuff right off the bat. It just doesn't work that way. You kind of got to know the person you're dealing with. And if literally all you did was maybe watch a little bit of WTF and still decide that you were going to try to sell that way, it worries me. I'm like, is our message literally not getting across well enough? Is our message actually not being heard, not resonating? Or are people going, well, I'll add an extra sentence in to butter him up before I try to sell him shit?
I got one. I sent you and Maria on the text thread. I got one from, oh shit, hold on. What was the title? Oh, now I need to find it. Hold on. I'm sorry, folks, because I cut
You're
off the
good.
title. And the title's important. So the title was.
Did you text it? I don't remember.
I texted you a screenshot, cybersecurity companies list. So that means they want to get me on a companies list. Let's see. This was, oh God.
Got it. Hang on. Is this the, hey, Danny, I came across audience first?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. The
Did I email
research
it?
report. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay. From, yes.
Do you want me to
Mr.
read
Darren.
it out to you? Is this the,
yeah, I got it. I
the
got
one
it.
from Darren? Oh, can I read it to
Yeah.
you?
So, yeah. Please.
Well, hello, Danny. I came across audience first and thought your company might be a great fit to include in the 2024 Cybersecurity Research Report. This is an excellent opportunity for Audience First to establish its presence in the cybersecurity through third-party validation, and is a valuable marketing tool. Through third-party validation, this is an excellent opportunity. Didn't you say that in the last sentence? Through third-party validation, this is an excellent opportunity to build Audience First's presence and credibility. Apparently, we're not credible in the cybersecurity market. Let me know if you'd like me to send you more. P.S. What makes us unique is that our platform has a built-in marketing tech stack, helping us launch our campaigns more swiftly.
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate the voiceover. That was awesome. So I looked at this and I was like, oh God, I got to pay for third party validation now, which I get, but I like to do things organically. Like I gain trust by talking to people and showing the value out the gate. But ironically enough, he sent me another follow up email last night, and I just see it right now, the thread. By the way, I just wanted to share a breakdown of our packages available. $199, you get your name and logo in the list and a backlink to your website. $499, an extended paragraph and quote from Audience First. The feature will reflect your company's cybersecurity expertise.
500 bucks.
Yeah,
for
for a paragraph.
paragraph.
Yeah. No, but I thought it was funny because it's totally out of context. Like if you had a research report that I could contribute to, I would probably say let's collab because I'm sitting on a lot of data and I'd love the visibility there on the data, not on less on the company. Like I don't need the company. I need to give access to the data, not to me. That will naturally come and run its course. But I just thought it was funny. The spelling errors also.
I think it just doesn't flow. At least to
Yeah,
give the guy
yeah.
credit on mine, at least it flowed relatively well. But again, it's one of those where it was, to me, it's spray and pray. I'm going to do a little bit of research, but then I'm going to pretty much cut and paste everything else into the middle and hope for the best.
But here's another thing which got me I got thinking about this last night when I saw some advertisements. Actually, let me see what they do real quick because I didn't take a look at what they do. So they do something bites. Okay, it redirects me to another. Oh, I've seen their logo before. They do industry reports. They're like a media company, but it doesn't show anything about a marketing tool, nothing.
But that's
They do like
like,
tech
is it a sell
reports.
one? Are they selling it? Are they, it's to me, it's like, okay, there's only a couple that most of us pay attention to. Let's face it. If there's not many that many of us pay attention to, Verizon, DBIR, and a few of the other ones. There's not
Yeah.
much else out there.
Okay, so let's put a bookmark on that because I want to understand which ones you actually pay attention to. But I'm going to go back to originally my train of thought that I had yesterday in looking at some advertisements from other agencies and media companies who want to get some information out there. And I'm seeing a lot of folks, and call me naive, okay, but I'm seeing a lot of folks taking advantage of targeting the security market when they have no idea what the security space is about. Like they just know that there's opportunity here. There's a lot of opportunity.
There's money. We
There's
must get
money.
in. We don't.
And then they just start promoting the shit out of, we do this the best and we understand this. And then they, take information from, like they just crowdsource information thinking that, showing that they are the masters or the thought leaders in that space, the security space. I think it's really annoying. I'm just really annoyed because I mean, I I'm I'm passionate about the space. I years ago said I'm not going anywhere else. I love the security space and I'm investing time to really learn about the space and not from an opportunistic standpoint, from a curiosity standpoint. And so when I see these other agencies like, oh, we're going to do a cybersecurity research report and we're going to do this and we're going to run this event and that event, and it's like all ad hoc, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was a rant, but it's something that I noticed that, some of these agencies just coming in from an opportunistic standpoint because they want to target that that space
I think it's
for,
again, it's a money grab, and that again
yeah.
is it's one of the biggest problems with our bloody industry is there is all cybersecurity and AI and and all that. It's we need to have that, and it's and right, exactly, some security companies do not know the market in no shit exactly. I think
Anyway.
it's tough because there was a great LinkedIn post that was put out yesterday or the day before that there was a fantastic graphic that went with it, and it was a fantastic graphic. It was a motorway graphic. Oof, you okay?
Yeah.
It was a motorway graphic that was just beautifully put together, and it was very true. It was like everybody becomes an expert, especially if you start looking at using an intelligent system to gather information for you without actually understanding what that process is and what the data sets are actually really telling you. Then too many people are just throwing too much crap out there, which sucks because there's some ridiculously good research out there. I mean, there's some good stuff out there, but there's some and the problem is now again back to the same thing with the industry. I don't need 30 companies telling me their endpoint detection is perfect. I need 3 or 4 good ones. The rest of y'all can bugger off and die for all I care. And it's the same thing with industry information. I don't need 30 companies telling me their version of what it is, because it comes back down to where do you get your data from? It's all down to data. Where did the data come from? Who's interpreting it? Who's an analytics on it? How's the trending on it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's like anything. You can make any data say anything that you want. I will find you plenty of data that tells you that the Earth is flat. I can do a really nice job of convincing people that this planet is as flat as a freaking pancake. I got plenty of data out there. Doesn't mean it's right, but I got the data.
I'm looking at this. This is bugging me. I'm gonna do a post about this.
That one?
Yeah. The whole idea of capitalizing on the security market without understanding two shits about it.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you've got a lot of people. I mean, when I was out in Saudi, I was talking to a couple other companies. Oh, I know who it was. It was I won't name them, but most people probably have one of their products on their desk. They are very well known for doing mice and keyboards and covers of things and stuff like that. Well, they decided they wanted to get into the security space and started up a security practice. I'm like, well, what did you do? Oh, we wanted to get in the security space. Well, why? Well, because we can affect change. Well, how? You make fucking mice and keyboards. Love y'all, but you make mice and keyboards. You make good ones, crappy ones too, but you make some bloody good ones. What the hell are you doing? Bouncing, because we can do this and this and this. And I'm like, all right, who did you buy or what did you buy to get that expertise? And, how much of it's ground up and how much of it's actually making a difference, or how much are you just trying to go after the same money that everybody else is going after? I think that's where I got a frustration with it.
Yeah. All right. I want to actually go back to the bookmark and open it up. You talked about specific reports that you go to on a regular basis. DBIR is one of them. Which
Yeah,
other
that's
reports are you looking at a regular basis, and where are they published?
there's a couple of different ones. I mean, I'll give a shout out for the News by Crew because I get theirs on a weekly basis. Obviously, I got it as a client. Now I actually get it inside the team, which is actually rather useful. And they surmise what's going on. Obviously, shout out from Anixia because guess what? They're putting together their stuff as well on a more of a leadership level side of things. To give, I don't like giving them credit because they mostly drive me nuts, but to give the likes of like IBM some credit, they actually put a decent report out as well. Simperis puts a really, really nice one out on some of the state of what's going on. Hate to say it, for those of you that still have a love-hate with Kaspersky's like tech team behind the scenes and their reporting is absolutely fantastic. They do some really, really nice stuff, good stuff out there. I'm trying to think who else I use. I'm actually just going to hit one of my researchy sites. Who puts out CloudStrike? I wouldn't touch theirs though. I kind of like the more independent ones, which are nice. NIST obviously puts his publication out. I'd say that or can we crack a bit of a joke over CISO? I'd say CISO put some good stuff out, but now we don't know whether it's
Mm.
CISO putting it out or the Chinese that are in CISO systems. Oh, um, sorry, Jen. I'll get yelled at some point for that one. God forbid, honestly, from a leadership perspective, the likes of Gartner and Forrester, despite the fact that they drive us nuts, their trending and analytics is actually fairly useful. They actually do some pretty good stuff out there as well. If you want to look at some of the threat and some of the intel stuff out there, go hit some of the endpoint companies. Sentinel has some
Mm.
good stuff. God forbid CloudStrike does, but it is what it is. I do like the stuff that comes out of like HackOne and BugCrowd, because they will actually take a lot of the crowdsourced information and put a really good set of reports out over what's going on. If you're into the malware side, obviously Malware Bazaar is a really nice resource for those of us that track and monitor a lot of the malware world that's going on. There's just a bunch of other good stuff out there. I'm trying to think I'm probably missing some. Who else writes a good one? I'm trying to think who else does a good one. I'm up for listening. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a shout out to Bug Crowd. I want to ask. You mentioned Gartner and Forrester. Why
Yeah.
why do they piss you off? What is it about?
I think I have a frustration. It's almost. I think there's a couple of different things. One, because of the cost of entry, the barrier to entry, the cost to get in and actually get those reports is too expensive. Oh, you know who else puts a bloody good report out? SANS, for crying out loud. Duh. SANS puts a and also a bunch of freaking good resources. Anyway, so back to me, unfortunately, it's like anything. You pay for their information and you pay for their expertise and their analytics, which is fair, but it's still so. What the hell is this stupid thing doing? But it just gets. I don't know what
Wait,
it's doing.
does it do it? Does
I
it do it?
had I had bubbles. Some stupid thing. I was doing this the other day and I got bubbles or something.
If you do it, it like does fireworks. I don't know.
You get
Squirrel moment.
fireworks?
Yeah,
No,
if
I
you
want to
go
say
like on like WhatsApp or Zoom on the calls, you do like different gestures and it does like background
I have
fireworks
no
and
bloody clue. Stupid systems.
sparkles.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like some of the data. I just don't like the price tag that comes with it, especially if
Mm,
you can find very similar data without quite the same expense. It also often when you are looking at technology, it doesn't necessarily do a good job of giving you all of your options. Perfect example, like endpoint detection. You're going to go out, you're going to take a look at it. There'll be some good companies out there that have spent time and effort and money to convince the Gartner reports that they're really good. And there'll be some folks which have just answered the spreadsheet and called it good, who will get ranked maybe not as effectively as they could have done.
mm.
Well, that's nice.
Infotech.
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 Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Um, oh, got it. Thank you, Ally. This is a nice segue into my next kind of question, actually, the topical discussion that I want to have. And
Yeah.
I was speaking to some CISOs and asking them, well, hey, how do you collaborate amongst your peers, and like how do you share information, and how do you enrich your knowledge and also break down those knowledge silos too amongst your team members within the peer community. And like, well, yeah, we share with each other on Slack, and we share IOCs and TTPs with each other. There's shared intelligence. Can we kind of like dig into that a little bit more and how you um you know enrich or kind of level up this collective defense? Because as a group, right, you need to be sharing information just like adversaries are sharing information with each
Hmm.
other. No, is that the case?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it should be the case, and to some degree it is. But the problem, a lot of the biggest challenges with it are the potential legal repercussions of sharing something. So,
Okay.
perfect example. Let's say I get breached. Now it happens. It's going to happen. Something happens. I have a number of options at that point. I can hunker down and do all my own research and figure out what's going on and eventually have to disclose or not have to disclose depending upon what the lawyers tell me and what I have and haven't realized. So I, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, I see two dogs, not three, and I'm wondering where the third is. And generally, when I don't see the third dog, it's a shit show. So, okay. Anyway, she's sleeping on my suitcase.
Got it. So, you have that. So again, back to the breach thing. I get breached. I have options. Options are, I can, as I said, hunker down, try to fix things, figure it all out, and then decide if I can, cannot, should not, do not have to report it externally. And a lot of that will be driven by the business and the lawyers. Option number 2 is I can get breached and I can put my hand up in the air and go, I got breached. That helps my peers because I can turn around and go, hey, this is what I found, this is what happened, this is what occurred, and you all need to protect yourself. Because again, as an adversary, I'm not going to go and use flipping exploits, different exploits. If I can use the same exploit on 50 different companies, I'm going to do that. So if I'm company number 1 in the chain and I can put my hand up and go, hey, I can save a few other companies by being out there and go, hey, we got breached and here's this. If I can do it quickly enough, then that's great. But that takes a couple of different things. One, it takes legal counsel saying go for it, which chances of them saying that are pretty remote. And the second one, it also means that there's potential hit against the company. I put my hand up and go, hey, I got breached. Everybody's like, oh, we don't want to buy Chris Roberts' stock. We don't want to work with him. As opposed to going, well, we got his ass handed to him like everybody else has. I bet he learns, and now we're going to work with him. Option number 3 is I can have a good peer network, Slack, Signal, whatever else it needs to be. I get breached. I get onto that network, and I go, hey, behind the scenes, this is what happened. This is what I saw. This is what's going on. Keep an eye on your shit. And then above board, I can be all nice and friendly with the lawyers and we can decide when not to disclose and all that good stuff. Typically, that's where the smart money is, which is I have to cultivate some very good relationships and some trusted relationships with some folks who I know I can say, hey, we've had a problem. Here is what it is. And they won't go blabbing to the press either. So the Chatham House rules come into apply. So that is where, groups like the Tinkerers comes in. That's where the Signal channels come in. That's where like the CISO XC stuff with CISO comes in. That's where a lot of the conferences come in because you get to know your peers. You sit down with a group of CISOs, you get to know each other, and some of you like some of you, and you're like, hey, let's try to help each other out.
What are some of the barriers to those peer networks, though? Like
confidentiality, trust, confidentiality, the ability to ensure the integrity of those individuals. I mean, within the Tinkerers, we get yelled at every now and again because we're not inclusive or we don't include many people. It's like, no, we don't include many people because I love some of you, but some of y'all are assholes. And we just don't want you in. Sorry. Private membership, whatever the fuck you want to call it, we don't want you because you're an asshole. Maybe go look in the mirror and respect that as opposed to throw rocks at us because we don't want you in. I think there's also got to be that desire to collaborate. There's also going to be that, there's also going to know that because if I'm, let's just say again, I get breached. My first protocol is going to be to the business to go, hey, we have challenges, we have issues, here's where the lawyers come in. At that same point in time, there's obviously huge confidentiality. So do I want to morally, ethically break that confidentiality by telling a peer group around me who can maybe protect themselves more effectively? But ultimately, if word gets out that they find out or they know, that's me done. Now,
so
or do you be the whistleblower, which isn't a good option either. So it's really interesting.
How do you? I kind of want to shift into some of the challenges you're facing with regard. Okay, let me take it back a little bit. Think about the time you've managed teams, right?
Yeah.
And how do you navigate some of the challenges in bridging the gap in knowledge and collaboration within your teams, not even with the peer network, but within your team itself?
I think that's, you got cross-functional training, you get the ability, and let's just boil it down. Basically, what you want to do is you want people to sit down over a tea and coffee and biscuits or donuts and share information. And so that's really the biggest part on that one. And it doesn't matter if it's the security team sharing knowledge with the IT team, with the network team, with the database team, with the engineering team, or whatever. You want them just to share time and share information. And a lot of that starts off on the human aspect. It's just get to know the people that you're working next to or closely, or that you're interacting or going to have to interact with. And some of that is fostering that. Some of it is enforcing it. Some of it hopefully happens organically. I mean, there have been a couple of places I've worked at where I've had a couple of folks on the team who are extremely talkative. I don't mind that. They'll go over, they'll talk to the various other teams, and I'm like, part of me wants to go like, what the hell are you doing? But the other part of me is like, hey, I'm getting a whole bunch of, intel out of that person. I'm getting a whole bunch of insider stuff that I maybe wouldn't have heard about. They're fostering a good relationship so that when something happens, we know we can call on friends, and they're sharing information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's definitely balanced. There can be formal sessions. I mean, Newsbyte's got a Wednesday. There's like a Wednesday webinar, which happens. Boom did the same thing. They had their lunch and learns, and we've done a bunch of those where you sit down with peers and you're like, hey, it's open bag, brown bag session. Bring your own lunch, and all lunch will be catered, and we'll teach. Whoever wants to listen, will learn and we'll teach.
Mm-hmm. I was sitting with the CISO, and she had mentioned something really compelling to me. And she said that whenever she comes into a new role, she doesn't just interview the people on her team. She also interviews the people within the organization who aren't necessarily on the security team. And she says, "Hi, welcome to the security team." And they go, "Wait, what?" "Yeah, you're part of the security team now, because security is a responsibility of everybody in the organization." And she said, by having them feel like they're part of her team, they're able to report when something comes about, right? So that there's a fostered security culture within the organization, so that they feel open to contribute also to sharing what's going on and sharing the knowledge, and so on and so forth. What do you think about that?
I'm pausing for a second because why is Ben posting links to his own website? I'm assuming that's his own website, to like Gartner reports and his own security jobs and everything else. I don't mind people posting information. I really would rather people do not post links to, especially their own websites and stuff like that on our podcast. I typically growl at that kind of stuff.
Where are we?
Not,
Oh, here we go. I see.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to click into that, but so okay.
yeah, those are not
All
things I
right, you
like.
heard it straight from the source, folks.
Yeah, don't do that shit, please. Thank you. If you've got information to share it from a general source, not from your own personal stuff.
All right.
All right,
Back
we
to
got
that
that. I
original,
apologize.
no worries. Back to the original story. So yeah, it was interesting to hear from her perspective that she brings in people not necessarily from the security organization, but also welcomes the
Yeah,
broader organization to the security team to collaborate and share knowledge and.
I mean that was the big thing is, and we did the same thing at Boom, done it in numerous other companies. It's like, hey, we've all got a part to play, and I'm not going to let you flounder. My job is to educate. So we used. I mean, that's why Gabrielle and the crew over at Wiser were fantastic, because we ran the awareness training on a monthly basis. And it was really, really nice because it was fun, it was educational, it got people involved, it got people engaged. We started a CISO channel, and we had fun with it. People would send me, flipping stupid scam messages, and I'd have fun with them, or I'd go melt their phones or whatever the heck would needed to happen. So it was good because, exactly as Jordan said, it was collaborative and it was buy-in from all departments. Everybody realized that they had a piece to do. It didn't mean they owned it, but they were part of it. They were part of the jigsaw puzzle. And unfortunately, the company got targeted on a pretty regular basis. So, people would see it or people would feel the implications of it. So it was like, hey, how do we help you?
Mm,
I'm not going to penalize, don't want to do this. How do we help you? Because we're all in this. Everybody's building an airplane, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that. Therefore, we're all trying to, make sure that damn thing happens effectively. Yeah, same thing where I'm at now with a couple of the advisory ones and with the news spiker. It's the same thing. It's like, hey, we're all in here. How do we help each other?
mhm,
Because again, it's if I stand there, and I think this is one of the biggest issues that security has, and I'll take a challenge on this one by anybody. When we really started out the whole security journey, it attracted a lot of us who are, let's face it, we don't exactly fit the normal mold of business. So we were all a lot of us were a little odd and a little quirky, and we kept to ourselves and we did our things, and not everybody understood it. We didn't do a good job of explaining it. Just as an industry in general, we didn't do a good job of explaining what we did. It was this, it's like, oh, it's a little box and it does everything. Great. We need more money for it, please. And then when things didn't work, we blamed everybody. We didn't actually take a step back and go, what can we do better? How do we become more effective or more efficient? So we have a lot of that to unwind. We lost a lot of goodwill over the years. So I think that's one of those things where we need to take that step back and be a little more humble when we come to the table and go, hey, can we collaborate, please?
You mentioned Wiser, which does a great job of security awareness training, not just for security teams, but in general organizations. But I want to kind of take a higher level view, right? Strategic view of just security culture across the organization. Do you believe, or what role do you believe sales professionals across all these vendors, right, should play in advocating for security culture, if at all, for practitioners and
Um,
organizations?
I think it's pretty it's to me it's one of those things where I think they have to be part of the solution. And to me, it isn't just sales. We ran into some challenges at a few places where there were teams that were like, well, we don't have time for this. And I'm like, okay, explain this one to me. I'm putting out training that's once a month and it takes 3 to 5 minutes. That's it, 3 to 5 minutes. You have 160 plus hours. I just literally want 3 to 5 minutes of that. And you're telling me you don't have time to do this, but you're telling me you have time to do all these other things, including goof off and all this stuff and everything else, but you don't have time for this. So let's have that conversation about prioritization.
Mm,
And I think that's something where some of that is really trying to raise the awareness, but it also means you got to get leadership buy-in. So it's all very well going to the sales folks and going, hey, you need to think about this. But if the sales leadership or chief marketing or chief revenue or whoever's running the sales organization isn't bought into it, it's going to be a tough one.
mhm.
You have to almost find champions inside those teams that are willing to actually then also take the fight to their leadership and go, hey, this is actually worthwhile. This is useful. This is a differentiator. This helps us. What it enables us, it helps us, it makes us more effective, it makes us more safe and secure as we have got whatever the conversation needs to be. But you need that top down approach as well. It's we didn't have it in one place. We didn't have it with engineering teams. They were too focused on everything else, and so they wanted to always be the exception. They always wanted to be the ones who were like, well, we don't have to do it because we're doing this with the special team. Well, your ass is special right up to the point that
Mhm.
somebody gets breached and you lose all the shit, at which point, great, what use are you to me now? So I think that's one of those things when it needs that top down approach, but you also need those advocates inside the org, which again is a cultivation of collaboration and a cultivation of being a human and an approach.
Mhm.
You don't go in there wielding a big stick. You walk in and go, hey, how can we help you?
I love that. How do you measure that? Like you you give the advice to spend 1 to 3 minutes a month, but how do you measure that it's actually effective?
I mean, there's the typical way of measuring it, which is I'm gonna watch you whether you actually watch the bloody video or not. Guess what? I got metrics on to see whether you got the audio on
Hmm.
or not. And the second one is you have the ability to then to let folks know, hey, we're gonna run some awareness testing. We're gonna test you. I'm gonna send spam out. I'm gonna send this out. I want to see who clicks it and what goes on. Or you run a couple of quizzes and a couple of tests. Again, I don't like to fool people without
Hmm.
giving them a chance to get educated first. If I have to run like phishing tests and campaigns, I don't want to do that until I've given people a fair old chance to actually pass it. And at that point, then it's on them. It's no different than kids at school. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to lay out every single thing that you need to do to succeed.
Hmm.
It's up to you how much of that you're willing to actually listen to, accept, and work on. I'll help and I'll encourage you. But if your ass just doesn't want to deal with it, then you do become the problem child, and I have to deal with you differently.
Another compelling insight that I heard in conversation regarding kind of nurturing that awareness and nurturing the culture within the organization, um, is not slapping people on the wrist, giving them the positive reinforcement. So this
Yeah.
CISO who was sitting across from me, we were having a discussion, and another CISO says something, that he liked regarding, making some change and affecting change in the organization. So he literally pulled out a coin and gave him a
Yeah.
coin as a prize or a gift
Yeah.
to say, yeah, like chapeau, like bravo for doing that. So he said that whenever somebody in my organization, whether it's a marketer or someone from HR or the secretary at the front desk, the admin, does something good, we give them, a coin, which makes them feel good to a
Yeah.
certain degree. So
Oh,
I
totally. I
thought
mean,
that
it's
I thought that was
yeah.
awesome.
I love it. There was yeah, I mean there's a number of different ways of doing that. I mean, we used to do gift cards sometimes, which is actually pretty
Yeah.
fantastic. Um it
Who was
really
it?
is.
It was I had an episode with Ferd Hagethorn. It was like a year and a half ago, where he said, "Yeah, we do security testing and stuff." And he's like, "Why aren't we gamifying this more? Like, why aren't we giving people points, or even like if they do a good thing, why don't we just get them at the end of the year a Tesla?"
Yeah.
if they do a great job, incentivize them and add
Yeah.
bonuses to their salaries for doing good jobs.
Well, I
Um,
mean, that was again one of the conversations that happened at a previous company recently, what's the word I'm looking for? Departed from.
yeah.
Was we were going to make some of the awareness training part of your actual, part of your HR awareness journey. And if you
Mm,
did not do it, then consequences occurred. Now, do I like doing that? Not necessarily, but we'd spend a year and a half, 2 years teaching people and doing some stuff, and some were doing it, and some were being the snowflakes. And so they were like, all right, well, we'll make it. And then that got fought and shot down. So at that point, I'm like, okay, it's on an as hag needed basis. So at that point, you are literally relying on the goodwill of people to actually pay attention.
hmm. Yeah, I've been through those. It's been on the onboarding. It's not fun, but did it. I
Yeah.
think there are better ways
There are
to
way better ways to do it. I mean, I
yeah,
think and I think the other thing as well, again, to give Gabrielle and the Wiser crew some credit, is if I run through their training and I like that training module, I can send it to my family and my kids and my friends and my parents and my grandparents for
mm,
free. That's the other thing about it. This isn't just, I'm not just training the person that's sitting behind the keyboard that's getting paid the salary. I'm wanting to help their entire family, because if I keep them happy and I keep them safe, guess what? They're not distracted.
yeah. I went through your favorite company, the Human Error Conquered company,
Oh,
which was awesome. And then finished the module, and then got a full screen of 176 other modules that I could go through, and I was just like, I was like, do I need to
oh,
do all this? It was a lot.
I know that's
Um,
the thing. That's again, we haven't done a good job of making it palatable for every human being. We suck at it. Again, I'll give Gabrielle and I'll give some of the other folks out there some credit. At least I can hand that to my mother and she can run
yeah.
through the bloody thing and go, oh, this is rather splendid. To your point, you give the other Muppets one out, and then I'm going to get a phone call going, what? It's
Yeah.
nuts. We absolutely forget that there are people on the other side of the keyboard that don't think the same way that
Yeah.
we do. And not just a
Yeah.
few other people, think about 5 and change billion people that don't think the same
Hmm.
way that we do.
Yeah. And you set it up beautifully just now, and which is why I wanted to talk about this. And I'm kind of like
Yeah.
just scratching the surface now. There's so much more to discuss about this, but the conversations I had just recently were awesome. And I realized that it's not just a security thing. It's a people thing, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's not blatant for many people too that's the issue. Anyway, I love it. I want to bring on an ally of ours. Literally, he's been
Oh,
on
bringing
this
an
show
ally.
every.
Cool.
He's been on this show every single week. So he's our ally. Mr. Ally is coming on to ask some questions. How's it going, man?
Nice.
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Awesome. Good to see
I
you.
feel bad I didn't get to catch up with you when you were in 10. I don't know where the hell I was or what the heck I was doing. I totally spaced on it.
I had a swag for you too.
Oh, you're awesome. Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the thing I was at, this was one of the swags they gave. I was like, oh, this is going to Chris if we hang out.
Oh, hell yeah, totally. Yeah, we got to have that. I need to get one of those mounted on like a plaque or something like that. You know, how to get yourself booted from Twitter, and just put the spork on it. Just, yeah, thou shalt not.
Weapon of choice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No more magic missiles. Just a spork.
Well, it's good to see you, man. What's going on? What questions or comments or feedback do you have today?
So I've been kind of noodling on this idea around like basically a lot of outbound motion seems completely worthless, especially with people just generating the crap out of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. And it's the things that you guys tend to talk about on this show make it harder for people who actually do spend half an hour figuring out like, hey, what does this person care about? And then you write it to them, and then you just end up stuck in the white noise. And so I've been playing with this idea. And personally, I don't have like a ton of marketing support, but I've been playing with this idea of using my time personally in more of like a demand generation type process with some direct outreach versus like trying to, train up another SDR or what have you. And I was wondering how that felt to you two.
I mean,
sorry, you gotta recap. Sorry, recap that again, because you sent me something and I was totally spaced right now. I'm so sorry. That generally doesn't happen.
Are you looking at organic produce?
By the way, this is why I love Ally, because offline he sent me great organic produce shops to go to in my area, which I love. Like I don't have to do the research now. I just need to go. Yes, no, I wasn't looking at organic produce. I was looking at your message and reading that again. But please, can you repeat that for me so I'm on the same page?
Yeah. So the idea being like, outbound isn't particularly effective, right? And you end up wasting a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking along the lines of like, I'm a business development sales guy, right? And so like, rather than putting that same effort into writing one-offs for different people, like, hey, this is you, this is what you care about, etc. Instead, focusing on creating more like demand generation type content and putting it out there as like, these are the things that we're thinking about.
Oh, yeah. I see where you're going with this. Basically, rather than reaching out, you're just building a pool of data that people can then go into, take a look at, and go, hey, I like this. As long as you don't put it behind like a paywall, not a paywall, a register wall or a paywall or something. Go, hey, look, here's the high-level synopsis. Here's some ideas. Here's some thoughts. You want to know more? Let's have a conversation, kind of thing. Or some of the stuff I'm putting out at the moment for the Newsfire folks is, the top 10 reasons to do this, this, and this. And you put enough of that thought leadership stuff out, and the general idea is people will come to you. Now, I don't have good stats on that. I know it's worked for me in the past, and it still continues to work, but I'd be interested to know, and Danny, you might be able to hit this one, or we need to find somebody who can. It's like, okay, Ally, to your point, school of thought number 1, beat the crap out of every single contact you have until you get a meeting. School of thought number 2, put some amazing thought leadership out and kind of wait for somebody to come to you to some degree.
Yeah, with kind of the half outreach being, or the half measure being like, if I do outreach to you and then you click and looked at my LinkedIn, like, oh, yes, this guy's actually out talking about the stuff.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it's a bit of a hype. So no, they'll say, hey, we just put an article out about this, this, and this. I think to me, those articles are ridiculously useful if they are as agnostic as you can make them. If they are like, we'll pick on ClownStrike. If they're like, oh, so here's an EDR one, and ClownStrike comes out at the very top, and they're wonderful, and there's shit doesn't stick to them, that has no use to me, and nor Beast nor Child or anybody else. But if they were to put one out and go, hey, we do kick ass here, but you know what, over here, here, and here, we got some work to do. If there was some more integrity in those pieces, or some more agnostic, hey, where's the future of EDR? Where's the future of this? Where's the future of this going? That kind of stuff, I think, would be very, very useful.
I just think high level ally, if you're able to own an opinion in this space with regards to all the information that's out there and able to kind of like distill that information to Chris's point, right? And bring them the most value out of all the information or all the opinions that are out there that ties to their business, right? And ties to their goals, I think you're going to be in a good spot. Then once you start speaking about that and maintain that credit or gain and maintain that credibility of somebody who knows kind of what they're talking about, maybe not the expert per se, but you have a say in that particular space or objective or security domain, then I think you can start relying on some quote unquote cold outreach, because then once people come look at you, you have something to say, you validated it with all the stuff that you're presenting online, what's ticking, then you can use that in your outreach. You know what messages are working. People can come back to you and say, okay, well, who's this? What's this guy about? Who's he about? Who is he? What is he about? you know, they're more likely to respond to you in that cold outreach motion than just going cold without having any opinion or value creation whatsoever. I know that, with my business and the way I've been doing things in the past few years, I haven't done one single message of outreach up until this year. And the outreach has been relatively successful because I have something to say. I mean, I'm a model, one model. I know others can speak for themselves, but I'm not necessarily. Well, actually, I am. I ask security practitioners, hey, can I have 60 minutes of your time, not just 15, 60 minutes of your time to interview you? And most of the time, I'm relatively successful because I have something to say, right? And so I think if you lead with that approach of, making the value free out the gate, right? No barriers to education and information in your opinions too. I think that'll bring you a lot of traction when reaching out to people afterwards.
I think I'm going to add extra to this because I'm watching a conversation between Ed and Jason. Jason has a good point, which is, would content created by Ally be, as a rep, be acceptable? I would say actually yes, as long again. And I think it's, a lot of the CISOs and a lot of the leaderships will smell blood in the water in 10 seconds. So I think it's one of those where if you make that content, again, back to that, as agnostic as you can, it's your opinion, it's your thoughts, here's what's going on, here's what's happening, here's what I see, here's the trending, here's the analytics. To me, that's acceptable. I think that's actually fine. Because, at the end of the day, we're all freaking selling, whether we like it or not. Oh. That's end of conversation. You can look at me and go, wow, Chris is a VCSO, a researcher, an advisor. But guess what? He also works for Newspire, which means at some point in time, I got to kind of help putting some revenue in. Now, do I do that in an overt, hey, come on? No, I do that in a very, very subtle, civilized, hopefully nice manner. But I do it in a way where I'm just going to give a whole bunch of info. And if y'all want to talk, let's come have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ed says something, valid, is like, the stuff should be from people that the prospect will respect. An SME within the org. Like, I don't see why a sales rep can't be an SME within the org. I think everybody should be an SME within the org. It's hard to do. I'm not saying that it's easy to do. It's very hard to do. Especially with all the,
get a couple of you together. I just there's something we're doing. Mike Pendrick and I are getting together. We're starting one off in May, which is going to be fun, and we're going to do it. We're going to do basically a coffee briefing on a regular basis. So it's stuff like that where he and I will sit down with some of their team, and we'll cycle some of the team in and out. We tend to make it, we're giving content out on what the threat briefs are and all this kind of good stuff. And it's fairly deliberate because we want to get not just us out there, we want to get some of the team out there. Secondly, it's like, hey, here's info. You want to know more? Come yell at us. We're happy to have a conversation. If this is as much as you need, great. Go in peace. That's all I ask.
Yeah. Jason has a point also with some of this conversation about metrics, and Ally, maybe you have some commentary on it, and I think it's part of the problem is we have to go back and we need some metrics to put towards the sales effort, but maybe the metrics are wrong, or maybe the benchmarks are wrong. Like if you're going to an event, can you really hit up 100 people, like, I don't think so. You can on email, but maybe it's the quantity that's an issue. Maybe you got to be segmenting the types of metric per interaction. I think that's, worth a discussion at some point. We talked about this a while back, but I like this comment. We can get into that rabbit hole. Ally, did we kind of answer your question or give you the feedback you
I
needed?
think so. Yeah, it's always interesting because, like, honestly, like, organic kind of connecting with people on LinkedIn works really well for me. Cold email works fine, but it's a lot of, like, it's a Sisyphean, like, feat. You're just doing to do, and then eventually sometimes something happens. Going to shows and meeting people in person, like, usually I'll meet like 5 or 6 people that, like, these are who I'm going to continue to talk to. Like, we had a human connection, and it sounds like we might be able to do a business connection, right? That's usually like what works.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about leaning into, like, personally, I mean, I'm a trained scientist, and so I have a tendency to go to the statistics and give transparency of, like, how did I draw this data? What was my source? How did I run this? Like, did I do a two-way ANOVA? What did I eliminate because it looked like it was introducing bias? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I like doing, but it's hard to. I mean, I wouldn't want to send somebody like a write up on this is what I think is important to you, and here's why, as a cold email, because it just seems like it would be long and it would never get read. But those are the kinds of value that I tend to bring to people, is like, look, your statistics are lying to you over here. Or have you noticed that this kind of fraud is hiding over here? Like, those are the kinds of ways that I help people. I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I leverage that um, in a way that would work, that would be, like, add value to people, be all opt-in, respect their autonomy, without respect their inbox, all that stuff. So
Have you
this
tried
is what I'm
asking? Have you
validating.
tried asking them also? Like asking a bunch of people what would resonate with you? Like, this is my approach. This is what I'm doing. I would like to get better. Like, what would work? I mean, beyond us, we're
I mean,
just two
anything.
people.
Chuck a LinkedIn post out. To that point, put a freaking
Yep.
LinkedIn. I mean, Jason said it again. The metrics to support it, which makes perfect sense. We're doing put a landing page for, Fireside, or put a landing, something like that, something that gives you, or even a LinkedIn post with a poll on it that says, hey, I want to change. I want to do something different. Here are 3 options. What do you want to do? And just get people's thoughts on it and just see where people's heads are at. Like, hey, I want to approach you. I can continue to cold email. I can do this, or I can do this, or give me other options, and chuck a poll out and see what you get out of it.
That'll be fun. I'll have to. Coming soon to a LinkedIn front page near you.
Yeah, and obviously you can hit us up offline too to validate anything.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you know how to get hold of us. Let's face it, it's pretty darn easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn easy once a little bit of trust is built, right?
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, but to Chris's point, the LinkedIn polls are great. You can get a fair amount of advice through those polls. So.
Yeah, I mean, I chucked one out. We're going to do a coffee session in Missouri, and I chucked one out. I'm like, hey, here's the 3 dates. Pick one. And ironically, I got more flipping comments and conversations that I did on poll results, but I got a bunch of good info, which was useful. So it's like, all right, here's the date. Off we go.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Awesome. All right, Ally, it's always good to see you. We are at the top of the hour. I want to ask, you guys have any imparting thoughts before we sign off?
I think I'll say one thing. It's very, very simple. I mean, this is we still look at technology and go, we can solve it, but it isn't. This is still a human engaging environment that we work in, and we have to remember that.
Yeah. I'm ditto. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. Well, this has been awesome seeing both of you. We miss Maria again. I hope she feels better. We're gonna check on her now. But I appreciate all of you joining us today. If you have, by the way, if you have, to the audience listening in, if you have any topics you want us to cover, let us know. spinning up these topics based off conversations we're all having, but we'd love to hear from you what's of interest. We could talk about the metrics, by the way, which would be cool.
You know what we
Jason,
should talk about? You know what we should talk about at some point is conferences. It is now getting into the lunacy of conference season. We should probably actually talk about conferences. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly from a CISO's perspective and from like sales and marketing perspective. That would be some good stuff.
100%. We're starting to get all things together for another Buzzword Bingo report this year with George. So that's going to be fun.
Somebody did a Boeing one and sent it to me, and I actually featured in one of the squares, and I'm like, yay!
Yesterday, George had George over at BKBT. He had an AI and marketing talk, and we were talking about the intros in the evolving landscape of cybersecurity. That phrase, do you know what I'm talking about, Chris? No, I'll share it with you offline. Well, in any case, whenever you write an article, the GPT always spits out in the beginning intro, in the evolving landscape of. That's a buzzword this year. That phrase is a buzzword this year.
Love it.
All right. Thank you to everybody who's joined us today. We appreciate having you. This was a great episode today, and I loved covering it. We have a lot more to dig into with regards to collaboration, but I appreciate it. This has been another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech Sales and Marketing Edition. We are out.